Welcome to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. In each episode, we're going to bring you insightful interviews and discussions with top restoration industry leaders. We're also going to delve into their business, the strategies that made them successful, and most importantly, the valuable lessons they learned along the way. I'm your host, Clinton James. I'm also the Chief Marketing Officer at Water Restoration Marketing. We're a digital marketing agency dedicated to helping restoration companies nationwide secure more high-value water jobs. Now, this show, it aims to provide you with the knowledge and tools you need to excel in the restoration industry. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. I'm your host, Clinton James. I'm also Chief Marketing Officer with Water Restoration Marketing. As a lot of you know, for the last 7 years, my agency has become the go-to provider for restoration companies that are looking to add emergency water jobs. Historically, we've done that by managing Google AdWords campaigns, but we recognize as a business that Google Ads, they can produce great results for our clients, but also getting those same restoration companies into the Google Map Pack can be even more impactful. So knowing that, and knowing that the impact the web-to-site design and the local SEO efforts can really have on that client's Google business profile ranking, it's really become an obsession for us to build a team that can help restoration companies really dominate their local market. So how did we do that? Well, we actually purchased another agency, right? An agency that has over 13 years of experience in web design and local SEO, specifically for home service businesses, including restoration companies. So today, I'd like to introduce one of the team members that's come on board. He's really our secret weapon, Ryan Schrader. Ryan, thank you for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you, Clinton. I'm really excited to be here.
Ryan is our new director of local SEO for Water Restoration Marketing. Ryan, I wanted to bring you on the podcast today to give our audience some insights, tips, best practices for them to help dominate their local market and secure one of those top positions in the Google Map Pack. So before we do that, tell us a little bit about your career path and really what got you into digital marketing.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So I've really been in marketing or content in some form or another since pretty much like out of high school. My buddy and I were trying to start like a wedding videography company. And so we were doing video production, and then naturally we started to kind of do that for some companies and for a commercial side of things. Went to college and all that. But then once we got done with that, we actually had a business that we started, which we were doing marketing for manufacturing companies and video production, but that stemmed into design and websites. And that was really where we started with websites. And then what does that even mean to a business, right? Like, why even have a website, right, if it's not going to generate you business? So moved around, kind of stayed in that realm for a while. And then when I moved to Michigan, I started at Valorous Circle. And that is really where my career was explicitly or solely focused on websites and getting business through websites.
Okay.
And that evolved from, basic blogs a couple times a month to integrating that throughout, the internet, your social media, in your Google business profile. And then Google became, the go-to place and where you really had to focus your efforts. And so that's really been kind of the path I've taken into focusing on websites, focusing on helping people drive business through those. And for the home service industry, that relies on local search, people looking for what you're doing, in the damage restoration. It's flooded basements. It's, leaky pipe leaks. It's those services that people are looking for help with.
Now, before Water Restoration Marketing acquired Valorous Circle, you specifically worked with a lot of home service businesses, including restoration companies. So talk a little bit about your experience working specifically with those types of businesses.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It really comes down to really two different ways to get business, and that's organically or paid ads, right? And because when people are looking for home services and really a damage restoration, but even if it's a plumber or a roofer, they're not looking on Facebook, right? They are looking on Google. They are searching on a directory. They're trying to find reviews. They're trying to find information about, hey, do you serve my area? Do you kind of do what I'm looking for or what I think I'm looking for? And you got to show up when people are doing that. And you can do that by paying for ads, or you can do that by essentially checking these boxes that Google lays out for us that says, all right, you got to do this to show up here for free.
Yeah.
Without, right? So yeah, I mean, really that's what it focuses on. And we talk about websites a lot because that is a big part of it. That is a huge tool when it comes to actually getting people to do business with you still. It's like it's your office online. It's a place where people can visit you and learn a little bit about you and figure that part out. So that's really when we're talking about home service companies, it's those three areas. It's your website, which is that really significant tool. And then it's how we're getting people to that, to give you that call, give you that, fill out that form, request a consult, whatever it is. And that boils around the organic side, which is the quote unquote free side, or we're paying for ads.
It's funny you mentioned social media, because I have conversations with restoration companies all day that, want to make sure that they've got a Facebook page or an Instagram page. And I understand the value of that in terms of building the local brand for their restoration company. But I also tell folks all the time, like, I am 44 years old. I don't know anybody in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s that if they came home to a busted water pipe, those people aren't going to Facebook. They're not going to Instagram to find a contractor for emergency services like that. They're going to Google, and where we want our clients to dominate, paid ads and in that Google business profile there. And if we can get them in a top 3 ranking, so in what Google refers to as their map pack, that can really be a game changer. So talk about the volume of people that are actually gravitating towards that map pack, gravitating towards those reviews. What kind of opportunity does that represent for a restoration company if they can secure one of those top 3 spots in their service area?
Great. That's a great question. It really boils down to just like hard numbers, right? How many people are going to see my stuff? How many people can I potentially get a call from, right? So, I know that when we've looked at, fairly decent sized metropolitan areas, I'm located in Grand Rapids. We're talking in the realm of, by 500 to 1,000 searches a month for, damage restoration type keywords. So out of that, right, we can say how many are clicking on the ads, how many are going down to the map pack, the organic part. Basically, anytime Google has a listing and it's paid, they have to put sponsored by it. Right. And a lot of people just don't click on those. A lot of people watching this are probably thinking, I don't click on the sponsored one.
Well, luckily some people do, because I got a whole agency that runs those ads for restoration companies, and we generate calls.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we'll talk about that, because it's really it's about 50-50, we imagine, right? But I can give you more detail there. But essentially, they're clicking on the ads, or they're skipping to the organic part, right? Now I don't know where I was going with this.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well,
let's take a pause.
Numbers wise. Yeah, we'll go back. Numbers wise, right? So that's where we were. Keywords. 1,000 searches, 500 to 1,000 searches. How many are clicking on ads? How many are going to the organic? Well, overall, and all the keywords out there, all the searches out there, it's about 20% click on ads. So that's 80% would not click on ads. So if you're only doing ads, you'd be missing out on 80% of those opportunities.
100%.
We can assume with water damage, it's a lot more clicking on ads because it's, I need your help right now. I got a problem. Even if we said it's 50-50, if you're only doing ads, you're missing out on half the opportunities. If you're not doing ads, you're missing out on half the opportunities. So, I think that is, if you're really trying to get more business and grow your business as a restoration company, that's why you need to be doing it.
Absolutely. And so Google has an algorithm, right, that they use to determine where a local restoration shows up in their map ranking, right? Can you tell us a little bit about because obviously Google doesn't tell us exactly what that algorithm looks at and what are the ranking factors there. But we can surmise based on what works and what doesn't work, what can impact where they rank in that map pack. Can you tell us a little bit about what Google looks at that helps determine if they're going to show up in that map pack, or really totally where they show up in terms of their Google Business Profile ranking?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. They don't tell us. What we go off of is like all the people like me that are out there, we're doing it and we're trying this. And then we see, oh, the ranking went up. And okay, so this is what Google is saying we need to do more of. So we have the consensus of all those people out there, thousands and thousands of people doing it every day, saying this is what we believe Google wants. And they're changing it all the time, don't you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we have those check boxes. I just call it, we're checking those boxes that Google says. Do you have a website? Yes. Do you have a Google Business Profile? Yes. And then it gets just, there's a whole rabbit hole from there. Right. It can get as complex as you want. The two primary things people need, you got to have your Google Business Profile. I would almost say that's more important than your website, because if you have a website but don't have a Google Business Profile, it's going to be really hard to rank on Google and get your website in front of people.
Right.
You need that Google Business Profile. You need your website. If you're starting out or you're a smaller company, those are the first two things you're going to need. And then, we can definitely dig into more about either of those.
So a couple things that I've heard from folks that do the kind of work that we do. Some of the ranking factors, first of all, it starts with proximity, right? How close is that business to the person that's doing the search for those keywords, right? So when I talk to clients that have an office location that is in one city, but they want to focus on servicing another city that's 20, 30, 40 miles away, that address that they have associated with that Google Business Profile, their proximity to that person doing the search, does that impact whether or not that company shows up in the map pack?
It definitely does.
Okay.
It definitely does.
Okay.
That being said, we have numerous businesses that don't even have a office location listed. We call that a service area business. So we have a whole area that you serve. And essentially, we can still have a lot of success with those, even competing with businesses who are, have an office right downtown and, have more reviews potentially. We can compete. We can get in the map pack for some of those searches, for sure.
That's awesome.
But absolutely, having an office, if you have an office right here and 2 blocks away is the person doing the search, it's going to help you. It's going to help show up.
Another big ranking factor, as I understand it, is reputation, right? And when we talk reputation, we're not talking about the reviews that you might have on other social media platforms. We're talking specifically Google reviews, right? So how important are Google reviews and your average review ranking to where you might rank in the map pack there?
Very. That is increasingly important. It's the number of reviews you're getting, how often you're getting them. So if you're an older business, right, you've been around for 10 years and you've got 250 reviews, but you haven't got one in the last year, that's not that great. That's not as good as someone who's got 30 reviews and is getting 5 or 6 more every month right now.
Okay, so it's not total number or even average star rating. It's a blended average of those things plus the frequency in which people are getting reviews. So for the clients that we provide local SEO services for, have we put a system in place that allows them to get more reviews from folks that they've done work with in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. And the easier you make it for the person leaving the review, the more likely you are to get that review. So we have a system where our client, all they need is like a first name and a phone number. They have just to put in those 2 things, hit OK, and then that person gets a text message and it says, hey, would you tell us about your experience, rate on a 1 to 5. It sends them the review link. It'll also text you, so if they do say they had a 1-star experience, you're going to get a text that says, hey, so-and-so said they had a 1-star experience, reach out. Obviously, that never happens for any of our clients.
Never,
not even once. But if they text and say they're going to leave a 5-star, you get that notification, but then it texts them the link and it even asks them, hey, would you like me to write a review for you, essentially? And if they say yes or why, it actually sends them a review.
All right, Ryan, see, you're letting the cat out of the bag there. We've got some great proprietary marketing automation software that utilizes AI. I know everybody uses the term AI for everything, but we're actually utilizing AI to make it easier for folks to write those 5-star reviews for our clients. All right. Let's talk. One of the things I really want to do today is really for the restoration guy that's listening to this podcast that just wants some best practices, right? Something that he can go do with his Google business profile this afternoon or tomorrow that hopefully will ultimately improve where he ranks in that map pack. Can you give me 2 or 3 best practices for restoration companies?
Absolutely. I say really the rule of thumb there is like the more complete your Google business profile, the better, right?
Okay.
And there's a lot of like yes, no questions for parking. Maybe it doesn't even apply to you. So you just check no on all of them. The more complete your Google business profile, the better. Okay. A description, if there's place for some Q&As, if you can just add a couple questions and some answers, that's great. You can actually post to it like a social, like a Facebook, right?
Right.
So just engaging with it a little bit. Google likes that. Next thing would be get more reviews. Number 1, get more reviews. If they haven't already, they should create that profile. Once it's verified, they can start asking for reviews. There's a link on your Google business profile. Google makes it pretty easy to find. It's just your review link, and turn that into a QR code. If you search, free QR code generator, you can create that, and that image, make it into a sticker, put it on a, portfolio or a clipboard or on a fan. Get people to scan that. Hey, can you leave me a 5-star review? Perfect. Just pull your camera out, scan this QR code. It's on the back of my clipboard. And they'll leave you a 5-star review right then and there. Get more reviews. Respond to those reviews. That's another thing. When somebody leaves your review, respond to it. If you can say, hey, it's a pleasure providing our water damage restoration services, try to include a keyword, that's even better. Third one would be add some photos to your Google business profile. That's one that probably a lot of your competitors aren't doing, so it's definitely going to help. And a bonus one would be make sure that your address, your phone number, all of that is correct and it's consistent. Like it should be the same everywhere. That's an important thing.
Okay.
So those would be some simple ones.
So that sounds like a pretty time-consuming thing. Like you really have to treat that Google business profile like it's another social media page, right? So you're constantly going out there soliciting reviews. You're responding to those reviews. You're writing posts and content for that Google business profile. You're uploading pictures and things like that. If you're listening to this podcast and you don't have the time to do things like that, there are companies like ours that specialize in helping restoration companies do those things on a day-to-day basis to improve their rankings. We also have the marketing automation software in place to help them solicit more reviews. Like when we bring a new client on board, if they have a database of folks that they've worked with in the past, we can even help them reach out to that database of previous clients to encourage those folks to write reviews, because that's how important, right? That's how important that reputation is to their overall ranking there. So just to kind of summarize, right? So we're talking 3 things here. 1, make sure that profile is built out in its entirety, right? Answer every question, make sure you select services, add your website, make sure that the address, the phone number, everything is matching the other assets that you have on the internet there. 2, reviews, right? Want to make sure that you're getting reviews. Not just once, not just twice. Put a system in place so that every time one of your technicians leaves a job site, or every time you guys complete a job, you're reaching out to that homeowner or that business owner, inviting them to write a nice review for you. And then the third thing that you mentioned is pictures, right? Now, my mind is spinning is like, okay, are all these guys going to go Google water restoration pictures and just upload some stock images there? Does that work, Ryan? Or should they really be taking pictures from actual work and actual job sites that they do?
Yeah, Google actually makes the website that checks for photos online.
Okay. So those stock images won't work. All right. Well,
yeah, no.
Nowadays, everybody has one of these fancy iPhones, so it's not hard to get really great looking pictures. I know the insurance company requires that you take a bunch of pictures of these jobs as well, so it's not like they don't already have them. All right. Those are great insights, Ryan. Now, we work with over 130 water restoration companies right now. So you're constantly looking at our clients and prospects' Google business profiles. What do you see that they're doing or they're not doing on their Google business profile that's absolutely killing their ranking?
You know, it's very simple, but it's really the most basic things, like their address is different than it is on their website.
Okay.
That's confusing. Google's trying to draw those lines. The people claim they've been in business and doing all this work, but they have 5 reviews. I mean, reviews is so important. And when there's companies out there with hundreds and hundreds in your industry, like it's possible to get 10, right? And those are some of the biggest things. I'd say if like anybody's going to focus on that for their Google business profile, those are the most important things. And then, there's the whole website side, which we really didn't even dig into. That is, restoration is a very competitive market. Mm-hmm. Candidly, just having your Google business profile, even if you do every single thing we talked about today, it's not going to get you ranking. You also need a website. You also have to be there's other check boxes. There's other boxes that Google wants to check, and it's not all around the Google business profile. In a competitive market like restoration, especially if you're in a metro area, like you got to be checking more of those boxes because your competitors are.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're being a little nicer than I am, because like I said, I talk to restoration companies all day, and I go to their Google business profile and I see some of them that have actually gone through the process of getting verified and setting it up. They haven't even selected the services that they offer there. So when you go out to that Google business profile, it might say, ABC restoration, but when you go to the services or the overview, it doesn't even have a list of the services that they provide. I have to think that doesn't help their ranking either.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much more you can do. Yeah. And if you don't have your services on there, yeah, no chance you're having you're being very competitive in ranking. If you don't have photos, if you don't have your logo, there's a place where you need to upload your logo too. Like, you need to be doing all of these things. Otherwise, if you're just doing 1 or 2 of them too, maybe don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
so
if you really want to be successful online, you gotta do it.
So if I'm a restoration company owner and I'm sitting in the truck right now, and I know I don't even have a Google business profile, or I've got one that I set up years ago that we really don't touch, why would that restoration company look to you and our agency to help improve their map ranking instead of just trying to do it themselves?
It's time, right? If you are trying to serve customers, and if you're a restoration guy, you're probably, I know a lot of guys have been doing it, right? They have been setting the fans up. They're meeting with the customers. They're estimating. They're doing those things. You're going to go and create a description for your Google business profile and build a website, or do you just want like a person who can, can explain the things to you that you want to know, make sure that, they're checking the right boxes for you, but that, gives you the confidence. All right, this is my goal. I want to rank on Google. I want to rank in the map pack. They are working with clients. That's what they're doing. Look at their reviews. Look at, you want to work with somebody like that, because if you try and do it yourself, you're never going to be an expert at it like you are in restoration, like the person that's doing it every day, like we are.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you do finally, Google moves the goalpost, they change something, they do this big rankings update. Now you got to keep up with that. So just find a partner that is like going to be able to help you with that and help you with those changes and updates. And then when your business grows and you want to open a second location, boom, they can replicate what they've done for you and do it in the new place. And like, you got a system in place, you got a partner there, rather than like, I imagine the other way would be very difficult.
And to be honest, if they have the know-how and the time to do it, they probably would have already done it, right? Yep. So if you're sitting there, I don't traditionally use this podcast as a way to promote the services, but this is how passionate I am about this. If you're sitting there and you either don't have a Google business profile, or you set one up years ago and it's not ranking and you're not getting any business as a result of that Google business profile, reach out to us, because we can help. We've got 13 plus years of experience doing this kind of local SEO work. We've got 7+ years experience working exclusively with water restoration companies. We know what works. We can get that done for you so that you can focus on managing your team, growing your restoration business, and helping folks in your community there. Let us take that off your plate there. So, Ryan, I really want to thank you for giving us some time today. Really appreciate your insights in local SEO, primarily on what they can do to actually get that Google business profile in the map pack. So, again, thanks, Ryan, for giving us some time today.
I hope it was helpful. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
For our audience that sticked around, thanks again. I hope you like what you heard today. And if you do, subscribe to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. We'll be back soon with some more interviews and insights from entrepreneurs and professionals in the restoration industry and smart guys like Ryan that can help you grow your digital marketing platform. So until then, I want all my restoration folks to stay safe, stay dry, and stay busy. Thanks again, Ryan. Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you for listening to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. If you like what you heard today, be sure to subscribe, share, and also leave us a 5-star review. We'll be back with more interviews and discussions with restoration industry leaders really soon. In the meantime, if you're a restoration company looking to add more high-value water jobs, you can reach me and my team at waterrestorationmarketing.net. Again, that's waterrestorationmarketing.net. I look forward to hearing from you soon.